Howdy, howdy, and welcome to Outside In, your source for the latest trends in facilities management and litigation support outsourcing. Today we're talking to Ben Moore, a business analyst with IST Management Services, and we're talking about IST's space planning software and how it's helping clients like you better manage your offices. Ben, welcome to the Outside In podcast. Where are you joining us from today?
Yep, I'm just south of the city, corporate. We're working remotely here today in the remote office down the south side. But I appreciate you having me, Brad.
Excellent. And can you explain exactly what your role at IST as a business analyst is and how you work with internally with IST and with our clients?
Sure. I serve as a business analyst, which basically means I get to be a liaison between folks out in the field as well as the clients side of things, as well as the development team, which is exciting because no 2 days are exactly the same. Get to work on improving internal products and applications and things like that, and also develop new applications. So we're certainly building a lot of new things for our client base, and as well as serving our internal customers.
Excellent. Well, today we're going to be talking about a software that I think IST's had out on the market for about a year now, maybe a little bit more, space planning. But before we dive into the software product, can you just kind of give us an overview of what space planning in the facilities management world is?
Certainly. Space planning was something that we developed. It was an application that essentially works for folks in the office environment, mapping out where people, assets, anything from furniture to equipment, as well down to the nitty gritty as paintings and printers and copiers and things. We essentially place an application together so you know where everything is at your site and on your floors. And we have had some clients get very flexible with that and wide range of things, and including IP addresses and emails, as well as we have the ability to put photos so you know individuals when they walk in the door. And we have seen it utilized both on the facility side and the administrative side, especially coming off of COVID and 2020 and seeing where everyone is. It always seems to be a challenge that we talk to our clients from the IT side of things as well as HR. So now knowing exactly where your people are and where they sit, we can utilize space planning, and we have found it very, very useful for the clients that are using it currently.
Excellent. So part of my other job that I do here at IST is obviously managing real estate. And when I hear space planning, I think CAD drawings and walls. But that's not what we're talking about here, correct?
That's correct. It's not going to be a CAD software, and then it's certainly not going to compete with those applications. But it will tell you where individuals are, where assets are, and being able to do things like move departments, move individuals, even mock moves, and see there. And as we have seen too, coming out of COVID, being able to hotel folks, they may stay in. We have seen the staggered work schedule as well. We've been able to utilize that for our space planning tool, being able to have individuals come in maybe on a Monday or Wednesday, and know exactly where those individuals are sitting on site, as well as folks that were working Tuesday and Thursday, for example. So it has been a very good utilization of that. But to your point, it isn't a mapping tool. It isn't something specifically that's going to get down to that level of nitty gritty. But it has been useful for the client so far.
Excellent. But it is a tool that when I'm in it, I'm seeing a floor plan, I'm seeing that office, and then through there, it's my understanding I'm able to manage my rooms, my assets, my people, and doing all of this via dynamic layers. Is that correct?
Absolutely. We set those layers up, and you can break it down by department. You can break it down under a kind of a hierarchy, org chart, if you will. We've had that for several clients, for example, being able to utilize it. And it does have that flexibility to put information, as much information as you'd like to put in there. We work with the IT departments of several clients and getting down to what specific, not only contact information and photos, as I mentioned a little bit before, but their IP stations, knowing exactly what they have on site. If they have specific assets that you're trying to track, for example, we can track that and supply reporting and things like that, so we know. And if individuals do move, we understand that assets move with them, and we're able to quickly and easily update and add those And the good news is that a lot of these images are preloaded already. So we just work with the clients through the implementation process and build the needs, to what they need, but what their specific needs are, and how it works specifically for them.
Excellent. So let's dive a little deeper into room management. So in my mind, that's power, data, type of floor, type of paint. Is that correct? Is that the type of things we're managing in room management?
Exactly right. So you can drill it down there, and also we've seen it utilized where, hey, I'm trying to find people on the property. Multiple spaces, multiple buildings. We have a dynamic search functionality there. But to your point, we can customize it specifically to what exactly in that room. Also, I mentioned a little bit earlier about moves. What the characteristics of that room versus what goes with it if that individual moves forward, is promoted, or they move to a different department, et cetera. But that information can be captured, and then we can have it all laid out, and even have the ability to say, hey, what spaces are vacant right now. We have a new hiring wave, for example. We need to find out where people are, what assets are in that room specifically, what can accommodate that specific individual or department.
And so when you get into assets, you're talking about phone, computer, that type of stuff. Is that right?
That is, and it can be specific. I know our CEO and founder, for example, has several paintings in his office. You can get down to even the nitty gritty of that individual, dynamics, or furniture. Is there a specific furniture that's in there? A conference room table, an L-shaped desk, things like that. You can kind of get a rundown on that, and find out too on the site where every piece of that specific assets are. If you have multiples, for example, you can include that in there, and find out where those pieces and those assets lie on site quickly and easily, rather than wandering around potentially looking for them.
Excellent. And then back to the assets, are you able to attach more information to that so that you know when assets need to be replaced, or just how old it is, or things like that?
Yeah, we can create basically an information. Hey, when it was purchased, or when it was found, or basically when it was, how old it is, and things like that. That does have the ability to attach that to that asset, with the extended details.
Excellent. And then you talked a lot about people management. So obviously we can look at where people are located. And then you talked about how it works great for move. So I assume when we move a person, we're able to say Brad was in office 5B on floor 2, and now he's in 7B on floor 7, and easily move those assets with that person. Is that correct?
Exactly right. So whether it's an individual moving, an entire department moving, or if you just wanted to create something which we call our mock moves. Hey, if I was looking to move this entire department, or we had a legal client, for example, who had an interns, summer interns program, where they had 20 interns, where they were trying to find locations for them. Hey, where are vacant offices? What would it look like if we placed them in that space? How what would what would the drain on the assets be for their, specifically, again, trying to see, all right, who fits where and what department. So you do have that ability with the move function to not only, schedule those moves and create those. One of the functions that I like specifically of the moves is the assets, as you mentioned, and actually have an asset sign out sheet. So if you're saying, hey, this move is coming up on Friday, it notifies the individuals, hey, Brad, you have people in your department who are moving this week. This is what's supposed to be moved. Gives the opportunity for, IT, for example, to say, hey, this is what's supposed to move. Here's a checklist that you can include. Here's the assets that are supposed to be moved, and be able to actually have a physical sign off. If you so choose, you can print out that document to say, hey, Brad, here's what was delivered. Here's what moved from, floor 1 to floor 2, and things like that. So there is a lot of the application, and we have had a lot of clients utilize those pieces, and we're excited to continue to work with clients to continue to improve the application as well.
Excellent. And so sticking with that people management, you talked a little bit about scheduling. Obviously, in this new hybrid work model that I think is here to stay, we're looking at having different people in the offices at different time. We're looking at a lot more hoteling as offices have downsized. How does this software help with that?
It does help with that. As I mentioned a little bit earlier with the layers, you can create layers specifically to individual days, individual departments. Whether it was, hey, where I need to find where my marketing department or my human resources department is today. How many people of those individuals are in? It's on Tuesday. When are they going to be in? I can create that layer to it and get down specifically to say, hey, this is who's on site today. Here's who will be on site tomorrow. This is where they're going to be sitting today. And if you, again, need to potentially move them or look for space to hotel those individuals moving forward, it's all available in space planning.
Excellent. So clearly very customizable, very dynamic, ability to take the unique floor plans of any office and attach all this stuff to it. What that leads me at is really has my head spinning because that's a lot of information. So how does IST help set this up the first time for clients?
Definitely. We work with the clients, typically getting a clean floor map. And when we say clean, one that just has kind of the space mapped out specifically. We actually will draw the rooms there and then import the database for the specific individual client site. We do customize those fields to, as detailed as the client would like. And we can get down as many layers as possible into that detail. And we work with those clients as well. And whether it's an IST managed site, for example, we work with our staff to utilize that. We also, are able to have our MSPT database basically serve as kind of a model for that and can kind of build out a little bit larger, cut more customizable fields. Hey, who does this individual report to, for example, and be able to create that layer. So we typically will have that implementation process, and then we have training calls. Usually it runs 3 to 5 training calls where we get on, the horn for about 30 minutes, kind of going over the application, going over each individual piece, and then we turn the keys over to the client, and in some cases our facilities management team to utilize that and really give it a try and make sure they're comfortable using it. In our experiences, we've only seen probably 3 or 4 clients who have gone over that 3 time training class, and then they're off and running. And it is a very friendly, user friendly. If you're not familiar with space planning, in that case, it does work well. And I think we have had a pretty strong response so far, and continuing to grow, and looking forward to as we move forward.
Excellent. So it sounds great. So obviously IST is going to have several meetings, figure out what they need to do, get that customization set up. Then they're going to work with them on that training. What type of ongoing support is there to help with whatever needs, where it might be creating new layers or opening up a new office or whatever?
Yeah, and even if it's just something simple, if we have a change, new person just needs a refresher, we're happy to map out some time for that. We do have several different pieces we can put them through. Again, it doesn't take very long. Get folks up. Normally our calls are about 30 minutes, and most of that honestly is 15 to 20 minutes with some Q&A there, and we can show them examples and show them potentially other ideas as well. And we utilize other sites and other industries that, hey, this has worked well over here, or hey, we've seen this use case scenario. Giving those folks the opportunity to ask questions. And we have created even more since the beginning, basically, like you said, mentioned about a year ago. We have had some improvements as well. They've been client requested pieces. So looking forward to more client use cases and things like that as we continue to add more clients seemingly every week.
Excellent. And let's talk a little bit about scalability. So clearly I understand how this works on a single office environment, but how does it work for people that are managing multiple offices, maybe in the same city, maybe across the country, maybe across the world?
Sure, and we are able to create that building by building, and to your point, we have that location with several clients where they have one client in Chicago, one in Washington D.C., and the floor plans are very, very different. You have the very different building setups there, so we are able to map those out, break those down, and then have it scalable basically for each location. So that's kind of our goal continuing to move forward is wanting to have multiple locations for client sites or even prospective sites. We had a legal client that was saying, "Hey, we're looking at potentially moving our space. So what would that look like?" And that's when we talked about a little bit earlier about the mock move. So we create that space for them and say, "Hey, this is what this could look like," and be able to map that out for them in real time and be able to deliver it, and then they can get in there and kind of play around and work on the different floors.
Excellent. And so if we were to transfer you from Atlanta to Des Moines, we'd be able to easily do that through this system?
Absolutely. Yeah,
Awesome.
warmer
So, oh,
clothes
go on,
too.
sorry. So clearly this is a massive step up from managing this on Excel spreadsheets and hand drawing on floor plans and all of that, which is amazing. Um, so my last question, I guess, is what do you think the evolution of this is, and where do you think it's going to be headed in the next 3 to 5 years?
Yeah, I think the biggest step that we see ultimately, and especially with our current clients, is just being able to tandem it with multiple other applications. I think that's the next step for us, and we're working with our developers too, looking at all right, how can we pair this with some other ITs? Because currently it's a standalone, it's a web-based application by itself. I think that's kind of the next evolution in this, and being able to see the potential, pairing with multiple applications in the IST portfolio. So I do see that envisioning, and as I mentioned, we will continue to use client test cases and suggestions, and we're always open to those and continuing to sharpen our tools there.
Awesome. Thank you so much for your time, Ben. It's been a pleasure. We've learned so much about space planning.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Brad. Appreciate it.
And once again, I want to thank Ben Moore for joining us today to talk about space planning, and you for listening. If you enjoyed the podcast, please subscribe so you can keep up with the latest trends in the world of facilities and litigation outsourcing.